What do you see the league transitioning into after the time that you played as an enforcer to where it is now, where there's really no enforcers in the league anymore?
It's unfortunate because it's unique to our game. We had 6 fights this year with the Sabres. That's a weekend sometimes, in the past. The game's different now. The player's different now. Some nights when I'm doing work, I'm like, this would be a great time for somebody to get involved and start things up here. But then you sit back and you think, okay, these kids aren't taught that game. And they've never played that game. They never played it in junior, college. It's not promoted at any level now. I can remember being in junior. It didn't matter if you're the top line centerman or the fourth line scrub. Everybody got involved physically. In the next 5 years, you're probably going to see real fighting left in the game because not that they're avoiding not doing it, they're not taught. It's not in their DNA coming up. Junior now, you're suspended. Quebec League's, cuts out fighting. So why are they going to do it when they're trying to sell themselves to get to the next level? So I get where they're coming from, but it's unfortunate because it's an entertainment side of our game. We talk about educated fans. When there's a fight in a building, everybody's on their feet and they're cheering. And, it's some part of our game that unfortunately, and in a few years, it's probably going to be gone.
Is there a particular player you absolutely hated when you played against and that you've become better friends now that your careers are over?
That question is easy. It's Ty. I knew Ty. We played junior against each other. We were drafted at the same time. We had the same agent, when we got drafted. And, we ended up fighting like 13 times in the NHL and a couple other times other than that, once in a hotel room at the night of the draft. As the years went on, you started – especially doing alumni things, getting to know each other. I really appreciate, who Ty is and what he came from and what he battled through and a lot of things that to be where he was and have the successful career he had. I look back and, it's cool because when Max comes in town, he comes to games and, you see them, before or after and you've created a friendship that way. And I think that's awesome because what we went through and the things we did was kind of stupid some nights, but you can kind of put all that behind you and actually walk away and say you're friends now, and I appreciate that. Damar Hamlin, we were actually on the road in Washington, and we were sitting in the room, watching the game with a couple other broadcast guys. Danny Dunleavy does a play-by-play, and I are sitting there eating cupcakes and ice cream, watching it, and it happens, and it's like, oh my God, what just happened? And it was like, because you've been a part of it, you've been in situations where, you thought guys were hurt, and thank God they weren't, and you've been in other situations where things have happened on the ice, guys getting cut or swallowing tongues and things like that, where you're just, you don't know. You just don't know. And, for us sitting there, it was just like, oh my God, what just happened? And then, when it kept going longer and longer, it just kind of brought reality. I think we live in kind of a fantasy world sometimes, whether playing the game or working for a team. It's a totally different world than what most people would understand or even believe. And we're blessed to do it. And then when something like that happens, it's like, it doesn't matter if he was a Bill or he was, a Patriot, which everybody hates here. It was just like, oh my God. But what I thought was cool was it wasn't just the people in the building there or the people here in Buffalo, because of being Bills fans. That had an effect all across the world, man. Like that got people's attention across the world. And, just the outpouring for it, I thought it was fabulous. In a time where, it seems like everybody hates each other and nobody can say the right thing and you got to be careful. But it was like all that was shut down for a brief period. And it was just like, the world was just concerned about this guy, and then the only bad thing that comes from that, then it goes to the next part of, in contact sports, it raises that argument too, and people take it to a level that is kind of off the charts and not needed. But I just thought the effect it had across the world was pretty darn amazing for what happened.
So we talked about a lot of the goons that obviously you're a big part of that list, but is there anybody that you fought in the NHL?
It's goons, buddy. It's role players.
But,
Tell them, Rob.
If all of us guys played that role all the way up through our careers, you never would have made it to the NHL. Play 99.9% of those guys that ended up having to play that role. It's because when they got to this level, they said, this is what we want you to do. And I was no different. I got here. I went to Rochester after my first camp. And John Van Boxmeer said, hey, look, this is what they're looking for. This is what they want you to do. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do whatever it takes. He goes, trust me, you might not ever get there on just your talent alone. But if you can get this mastered, it's going to be your quickest and easiest way to get there.